Knicks Take Podcast.
Let's start talking about Sexton. So, we talked about Collin Sexton last week. And actually, on the Facebook page, somebody wrote a comment in regards to another video on YouTube and saying, well, watching this, how does this affect and change how you view that potential deal? Obi Toppin, either 19 or 21, and Kevin Knox for Collin Sexton. Have you thought more about that trade, that potential trade?
No, I feel the exact same way about it now than I did last week. Okay. I see Collin Sexton as a talented scorer, but I don't want to trade Obi and these draft picks or one of these draft picks in a draft this deep when we don't even know what Obi Toppin's going to be yet, and
we don't know. Sorry, go ahead.
And I feel like the guy that we can pick up at 19 and at 21, a combination of all three, if everything works out, is going to equal to more success for the Knicks than one Collin Sexton. Picture if we had Trey Murphy and Trey Mann with those two picks. I'm just saying. Hold on. I'm saying picture those two draft picks and Obi Toppin developing to be a more of a star role player. Is that not worth more to you in your eyes than Collin Sexton alone?
No. I will say no.
That's easy to say when you're not thinking about it.
No, it's easy to it's easy to say either way. You could say yes or no, and it's easy because at the end of the day, we don't know what Trey Mann is going to be in this league. We don't know what Trey Murphy is going to be in this league. You could draft both of them, and they could turn out to be trash, and then you're like, damn, why the hell didn't we trade for Collin Sexton? At that point, it's just Collin Sexton for Obi Toppin, and Collin Sexton. What do you mean? How likely is it? How likely is it that they're both trash?
Yeah. Obi doesn't do anything. Like, how likely is that? I feel like
no. I'm not saying. I'm not saying
that I feel like are the most ready to transition to the NBA.
I'm not saying that it's
in those areas.
I'm not saying that it's likely for all three of them to be nothing. However, Obi Toppin, we already talked about this last week. Obi Toppin is going to be coming off the bench behind Julius Randle, and unless you give up. I guess that would have been a better transition. Unless you give up Mitch, and now you have Obi Toppin starting next to Julius Randle. Unless that is the starting lineup, there's not. The future is limited. Yeah, and honestly, I don't know how much I like Obi as a 5 more than I like Mitch as a 5. I like Obi as a 4-5. Who can switch between both positions, but he's not going to get major minutes at the 4. And like I said, I don't like him as a starting 5. I prefer him behind. So, okay, so now you're saying, okay, maybe we can top him out at 22 minutes a game, maybe, and that's like cutting Julius's minutes a little bit and cutting Mitch's minutes to a point where he's 30 minutes a game, and you don't give any other bigs any time at the center spot, just Obi.
But why does Obi need to be a starter in order for him to have value in your eyes?
I'm not okay. I don't think
he could continue coming up the bench for the rest of his life, and he can still be a star role player.
I don't think that's an appropriate question because that you're insinuating that Collin Sexton is valueless.
I'm not saying that.
Oh, yeah, but you're not saying that. I'm not saying that to trade Obi for Collin because that's the conversation we're having. If Trey Mann and Trey Murphy both don't really amount to much, or if they're just role players and rotation players, that's 3 rotation and role players that you're giving up for a starter in Collin Sexton. That's not. I don't think that it's a clear. You have to go one way or another. But for me, and this is where I'll say how much more into the I would 100% do that trade. Collin Sexton fills a need, A. B, outside of the need of being a point guard and potential playmaker, who we said his playmaking probably isn't that great, but it has improved. Outside of that, he can shoot the three. He's a threat from three at the very least. And even if he's not the best playmaker, he's still a secondary, tertiary playmaker. So you can have Collin Sexton, Julius Randle, and RJ Barrett man those playmaking roles while they're starting the game. And that's still a much better option than what we had before. He's young, 22 years old, 2 years younger than Obi Toppin. So he still has the ability to grow. On top of that, you make that deal, you're actually saving yourself some money. You do that deal, you get $4 million more in cap space in shipping out Kevin Knox, Obi Toppin, and one of those picks. So you can still add. That's more money to add a player. All the money that you have now, you can still sign free agents, and you can have $4 million more on top of that. So if you're not so great on Collin Sexton, you could still draft a Sharif Cooper, because we're still talking about keeping one of those picks. You could still draft another point guard, a Trey Man or whatever. Or if you figured, nope, that's our future, you draft a Trey Murphy. You draft one of these other guys at the wing spot, a Chris Duarte, whoever you want, whoever the Knicks draft at this at this point in the game. You still draft one of those guys. You could still sign really good free agents, have Collin Sexton start. I'll say it. Or you could even have him come off of the bench and start, and you have a starter level point guard in front of him. And then you have Collin Sexton as a restricted free agent, and you can match what any other team would offer him. Or you could sign and trade him if they want him that bad. That is a value with just Collin Sexton by itself, that you're additional money, youth that is his long side, that is better than Obi Toppin and not as good as whoever you get in the draft unless you get an older player. Flexibility in your starting rotation. That all of these things are things that are going to aid you when it comes to getting another talent, when it comes to improving your team, when it comes to all of the things that we want to do. The only real caveat as far as like why you wouldn't do this trade, both in what I hear from you and in myself also, is that I don't want to trade Obi Toppin, and the other one would be I'd rather have 2 picks than 1. But Collin Sexton is not trash. Collin Sexton has shown that he was. Yeah, but I'm saying you have to point it out that he's not trash, that he has played for a team that is trash, objectively trash. There's not that many great players around him. I don't think that
it's not like he's not a part of the reason why they're trash.
We don't know whether he's a part of the reason we don't know. We've only ever seen Collin Sexton on a team that was bad. How do you know that if you put him on a team that's good, that all of a sudden that team, maybe he doesn't elevate them, but maybe he doesn't make them worse.
But at the very least, he gives them who possibly is not going to elevate you. Why trade away so many assets for a player like that?
I don't think that on this team he couldn't elevate us. I think on this team he's going to elevate you just based off of the fact of what was there before. It's addition by subtraction. You want a guy. No, I don't. There's no possible way he can make us worse.
No possible way. He doesn't go peeking thinking he's the number one option and tries to score all the points and freezes out his teammates. That's not going to make us worse.
Even if he was to do that, which there's evidence to suggest that he's not that kind of player. Like, yes, is he going to occasionally miss a player or two, according to what he's done in the past? Yes. Is he going to be nut for an entire game? No, he's not going to do that. He has improved his playmaking. He has tried to include his teammates on the Cleveland Cavaliers. He's tried to include them in his passing game, and he has improved his assist rate. over the past few years. But
we not
the reason why
like Cleveland don't got nobody on the roster. I don't mean to keep cutting you off, but Cleveland has players on the roster. It's not like he's playing around trash like he did in college. He had guys who were on the finals run with LeBron, Larry Nance. He has Kevin Love on his team. He had, not to say that Kevin Love is like some all-star or something, but he's not valuable, but he's not a trash NBA player.
He's a trash NBA player today. Yes, he is. Kevin Love.
Darius Garland's trash.
No, but that Darius Garland and Collin Sexton,
whatever his name is.
Yeah, I know. Jared Allen.
Allen.
Collin Sexton is playing the shooting guard role on the Cleveland Cavaliers team. He's not playing the point guard role, and he's been playing the shooting. He's been playing he's point guard sized, and they should have been trying to develop his point guard. That aspect of his game in terms of being a point guard, but because they brought in Darius Garland, it was kind of like, all right, let's figure it out. Oh, Darius Garland's better at this, so we're going to just give him the reins. And they never tried to develop Collin Sexton as a point guard, even though he is point guard sized, even though he is probably better defensively trying to defend the other team's point guard. Instead, he's defending the other team's shooting guard, their twos and their threes, and that is putting him in a position that is not optimal for him. If you put him on the Knicks and now all of a sudden he's the point guard playing the point guard role, you're putting him in a better position defensively. He can't be any worse than Elfrid Payton was last year. He is not like one of those guys who defends who defends poorly because of a lack of effort. He's one of those guys who defends poorly because of his size. He shoots better than Elfrid Payton, and he does the thing that Tom Thibodeau wants most out of his starting point guard.